Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I trim and tile this feature wall niche. Really nice pattern tiles on this one with ribs going down them. They had a directional arrow on the back, so I kept it in the same direction to keep them all lined up. You can see me here going around setting the walls out. As it's a feature wall, it's always going to be centered as rule of thumb, so you have even cuts either side. Once I put my center line up, I'm then just checking if it works best starting center of the tile or the tiles either side of the center line. And in this one I've got the ceiling to do, which is why I'm checking that as well. Center of a tile worked out best for cut, so I went with that. Then for visual looks, I wanted a full tile off of the niche seal for the height. I need to overhang it by a tile's thickness, as I'll be reversing the tile trim top and bottom, which you'll see in a bit. Then it was just a case of marking the shower plate and taking a square out for the controls. Then using an off-cut bit of tile on the seal, I could properly mark my height. Then I just slung some starting level and spread lines around, then just quickly tiled them first two rows, leaving the bottom cut out as this one is a wet room. I need to put the bottom tile in after the tray is tiled to create a waterproof barrier. I'll leave a video link in the description of me tiling that if you missed my last video. Right, let's jump into the action.
Right guys, I've tiled that part of the wall. That was obviously pretty straightforward. It was just a notch around the shower control there. The plate covers all that. Next I want to get the recess and the top bit done. So as you'll see, I've measured, which is 30.5 centimetres. All them cuts are the same. Got an LED track going in here again, so I'll tile the back first so the LED track goes against it. So first thing I'll do, tile all the back wall, and I've marked this cut 27 centimetres down. It's obviously going to overhang so you don't see the fat side of the trim, so I'll put them in. Put the trim up there, and then this trim I'll have to cut it down a bit because I put that on before the trim so it won't slide behind the tile here, so I just need to take about 5mm off the back, get that trim in, then I can do the sill and the top, finish the rest of that. And on the floor obviously I've left out for the wet room tray because you need to create that barrier on the tray. So now that's done, I've covered it up, I can put the bottom cut in and that's done. So I'm just going to crack on with that now and you'll see the recess coming together nicely there. And then after that I've got to attempt the ceiling. So that's going to be trimmed all around the edges on this ceiling as well, around these bits, and I've got all that to cut around, and the tiles will basically float up the wall on the ceiling and behind me here. So yeah, that should be fun, so enjoy. Okay, so I'm just going to use my laser line there just to make sure it's straight, because they're ceramic. Once they kind of grip, they won't really go anywhere, so I can get it there or thereabouts. I don't get my keep blocking my laser line, so that's kind of where that needs to be. So I'm just going to continue through there, put the two side cuts in, and then we get on to the top bit. So you'll see from other videos, but just to show you again how I'd cut this tile. So smooth edge there, smooth edge there. That's the way the tile's going into the wall. So I will take it like this. I will give it play because this is all tiled. So it's about there for that one, if you can see that, and then I'll turn it this way. Same again, give it a good bit of play. And then there's our two marks, so going like that. Let's just try it. I'm not going to do too much to the edges if it fits, because again it's all tiled in, so it shouldn't be a problem. I may have to take out for that wire, but let's just check and see. May just get around that. Yeah, should be alright. So as you can see, I've given it plenty of play because it's covered, so that's all good. Right, let's go just back edge that up and then she can go in. And considering they're crinkly, they don't actually cut too badly on the Sigma. Across they cut absolutely fine, and down the edge, depends where it falls on the tile really, but you can just grind it a bit and smooth it up. It's not too much of a big issue. And the only reason that I'm back edging these being ceramic, I wouldn't normally bother, but it's because they're 600s, they're long, so they're going to have more of a bow in them, so I just want to make sure that they do properly connect with the wall. Generally with a sort of A4 or smaller, I wouldn't bother with a ceramic tile because they adhere so well and get a good connection, but just because these are slightly on the bigger side, just as precaution, I'll just put something on the back. As we always just want to make sure they get a good bond with the wall. doesn't matter about any gaps. Again, at the top it's all tiled and my LED track is going to sit against that, and then the tile will go in and sit onto that. So just give it a wiggle now just to get it connected. Then, like I say, being ceramic, they bond so quickly that it shouldn't really, he says, go anywhere after that. Let's get that space in. Right, she's in. Cool. One more to go on that, and then I can work on the top, and then just start doing some trim work. And then that feature niche or recess, if you like, it's going to look really nice. It's going to look like the tile just continues completely through it, and it's just going to have two white bits of trim just to keep it kind of quite plain and pale and subtle going on there, with obviously the LED track through there. So yeah, it's going to be a nice feature wall. So what I'm doing here to keep them in line is, obviously I've got that one in line with the laser level, and I'm just getting the spacers tight so that keeps, in theory, everything square upright and in line. So as long as my spacers are tight and the tiles are relatively good, I should be pretty square. I mean, I could take the laser through the other joints and check them, but that'll be a bit extreme. It's going to be pretty good where it is like that. As long as you've got my lasers going through there, and it's going to go through there in that joint, that's all in line. I just need to butt these up with the spacers, and then them joints are all going to be good. And like I say, up or down doesn't matter because it's all covered. So I've just cut my first 27 mark there, which was for that with the overhang, which would be something like that. So obviously it overhangs because the tile's going to slot in, the trim's going to go thin edge face in. I'll mark these a lot more accurate because I want this edge to be really good. So I use 2 marks to make sure the tile is pretty perfect, and I use a rubbing pad on the edges to make sure that it is a nice finish. Even though the trim will be covering it, you still want it to be as good as you can. Once it goes on there, the trim will go against this edge, but we can get this edge nice. Again, it just adds to the end finish really. So the same attention will be taken with all them cuts. So again, I'm just going to cut all these cuts off, spread, and then I'll show you getting the trim in, which is pretty straightforward, but I think it's always handy for people to see how I do the trim. Cool. And because these are ceramic, I've got to be quite quick to get my trim underneath, because this will start setting it and suck all the moisture out, so they go off quite quick. So I may even just get a couple through, get the trim cut, get it in, and then put the rest on top, but let's see how that goes. I'll just get them in a bit and then level them up in a second. You could always use a rapid set for this as well, like if you really want the tiles to stay, but I mean, this is a Balflex 1 adhesive which sets in about 4 hours normally if it's a porcelain tile, but again, because they're ceramic, they will draw so much suction that they will set very quickly. So yeah, a medium set adhesive is pretty good when working with ceramic tiles, just for that reason. If you're working with porcelain across here, obviously they're going to be falling down, so you want to use a rapid set, and you probably want to wedge up with a batten or some Acco stands just to keep them up, or whatever method you go for. But say for ceramic, as you can see, they're not falling down the wall or really going anywhere. Right, I think I'll quickly get these cutting in and then quickly get the trim cut. Obviously you can do any of these cut marks with a tape measure, but for me it's just easier, tile and pen in hand, it's just quicker. Also, right, it's good to have the tiles pre-cut before you spread. It just makes things so much quicker, and you can get into a rhythm like that. It's literally taken about 1 minute to go across the top of it. I know I've got to level them up and stuff first, but it's pretty quick doing it that way. Right, let's get the trim cut in. I'll just show you the trim. So this one, you see it on the camera, will be a metal Genesis white trim. It's 10mm. These tiles are quite thick, even though they're ceramic, so that should just cover that nicely. So I'm just going to mark end to end. Again, it will be covered by a porcelain tile coming on there, so I can give it a bit of play to save trying to break my back to get it in. So I'll just cut that top one first, and so I'll come back and do the bottom one later, but I just want to get the trim up there before the adhesive starts turning. So I'm going to mark end to end and then just use my angle grinder and a metal blade just to cut straight through it. It's pretty easy to cut through this with a metal blade, so I'll go and quickly do that and come back to you when I'm just putting it in here. Let's just see what our measurement is. So it's 146, so I'll probably go just under to give it some play. Again, just because I don't have to be tight with it because the ends cover it. I'll go 145 and a half, plenty of play on that. Quickly show you this. This is the side I want. I always mark it with a cross so I know to make this edge a bit neater than the other edge there. So I'm just going to go straight through that line right there. And I'm just cutting on a bit of flooring here, which is going to have latex and backboard in it. So I know I'll go for it at the angle grinder, but I'm not that fast. I mean, to be fair, I'll put a bit of tile under it, why not? Okay. Show you there we go, easy as that, and I'll be taking this plastic off as well. So let's whack this trim up here, hopefully we can still get it up here. Just got a bit of a ridge on the backer board which isn't making it as easy as it could be. A bump in that middle tile there, which is just making, which is just making my life a bit more difficult than it should be, but I'll lever it off if I have to. It's just that middle one, so. There it is. Just a bump on the on where the backer board comes out there. Let's think about the same there as well. But never fear, we will get there. And we can start straightening them out in a second. So right, I'll just re-spread the back of this tile. Nice, we're in business. So we just need to level it up across the top now. Obviously I'm going to have to check that line again through there and make sure that's good. But now you can get to see what I mean with the trim. It looks really nice. You don't see the fat bit of it, so it doesn't stand out. You just get this nice thin edge which goes in with the tile nicely. And again, just keeps the bathroom looking really sleek. So I'm just going to get my level on top of that, get my laser line back up, adjust all that, give it another wiggle about. They'll go off in about 2 minutes and then I can start working. I think I'll probably do the top first and then I'll cut this trim for this and then these bits can be done whenever. But yeah, looking good so far. Okay, so I've just got the laser back on, just making sure that line's good there. And then I'll level this up across the top, which isn't too bad. I put a wedge in there, a wedge in the other side, which just brings it together using the spacers again. And I can just take this trim up so it's all nice, do a little bit of jinking around there just to get this all sitting nice and flush through there. But to be fair, that's not too bad where it is at the moment, but once it goes off a little bit more I will give it a little bit more of play and just let it go off, and then I'm home and dry on that bit really, then the top's fine to do. And concentrate on the internal of the recessor. I've just marked with a tape the top cuts, as it's hard to mark because the way the ceiling's lowered. They're pretty much all the same. It goes up a bit there, so I'll mark that one individually. But now these have gone off, I can just go through and get that way with it. And start putting these through here, just to complete that top bit. There we go, and I can space it up in a sec. But yeah, you can continue that, and it's taking shape nicely. With tiles with like a pattern on it and grooves like this, you just want to make sure you get all the adhesive off, because it can come back to bite you later on. It's quite hard to wash off in the ribs once it goes off. That's looking great. That's the top half done. Just got the bottom cuts to do down here, and I'm just going to cut this trim now, and I'll grind it down a bit so it actually fits, and we can just work on the top and bottom of the sill. Obviously the sill here I have to have a minimum of 7mm full, so the water actually runs off. It's a massive head in this, so it's probably going to take quite a bit off the shoulder in here, so it needs a relatively good full to make sure it all flows off back into the tray. So yeah, I'm just going to mark the trim as I did with this trim. I'm just going to measure it side to side, and then I'll show you me cutting it down. Right, just bring this a bit closer so you can see. I can take all this out now. Got the trim cut to length. So like I say, because I tiled this the previous day, because I didn't actually have a decision on the trim, that means the trim now ultimately will not slide in, as you can see there where the adhesive is behind the tile. So all I do is just, with my metal blade again, is just run probably about 5mm off of it, straight through it. Then I can stick it, put some glue on here, and stick it in it again. Absolutely fine. So that's what you have to do if you're doing trim this way round and it's gone off, but you can't get it in. Is you can just take a bit out the actual trim, then she'll slide in good. So I'll go and do that now. Right, I didn't film that, so it's a bit boring, but for you guys anyway, and for me. But yeah, so you can just see there I've just taken 5mm off. Once I check that it fits, I'll just run the angle grinder down the back and just take these knobbly bits off, because that will obviously block the tile in some areas. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's see. Yeah, I think she's pretty good. So yeah, goes down fine now. I'm just going to clean it up on the back and probably the front a little bit. Then I'll get some adhesive on it to get it nicely stuck onto this, and then we're all good to do the other bits. Easy as that. So I've just gone ahead and dry cut all of these, they're all ready to go. So I'm just going to remove them now and then get this all fixed. Just keep them in the right order, because I had to cut them a little bit on the rake. What I'll probably do for fixing these is I obviously can't get a trowel in there, it's so small, so I'll probably just spread the key the bottom surface of the sill here with just a scraper, and then I'll just load these up, not sort of dotting and dabbing, but obviously you've got, if you're going to sort of load up the back, make sure you get full coverage still, so you get a really good bond. Now I'm just going to butter up the trim, just go the whole way through it like this, just get enough adhesive on it to get that in fixed. There we go, that's loaded up with adhesive, and then once I push it down, it's going to push onto this top flap here to get all that nicely secure. Cool, that's the trimming. Just give that a little wipe with a sponge. Then I think I'll start in the middle here just to gauge how much we need. Get that one level going across, and then we'll work off. So I'll just show you how I built this up. So I'm just gauging this myself for a minute, but you need to cover the whole tile, because say what's not good is dotting and dabbing. So if you did that, you're leaving massive pockets, and it's the pockets which make tiles come loose, is where air and vapour builds up in the tile. So you need to make sure you get a solid coverage. So you can fix tiles like this, but you need to make sure it's absolutely solid the whole way through, so there's no pockets for the air to build up in the adhesive. So yeah, something like that. So I'm just completely building up the back to make sure we get our full. It may not be enough yet, but we'll see once we put this in. And we'll give it a good wiggle to make sure it all squidges down and gets a good connection. If I can leave this top a little bit over the trim, then that will be good, just for the water to not get stuck on it there. Let's just find a level, just see kind of full we're at. So I can actually come back a little bit with that. So I'm normally looking at for it to be half in, half out the right hand side of the bubble, so I can lose that down a little bit more. Let's just have a look at going across. We obviously don't want it so much that the bottle's going to fall off, but they shouldn't do, but you do need a substantial fall for water to actually run. See, that's about half in, half out now. So I'm going to go with that for a minute. We can adjust that again in a bit. Make sure it's lined up on this line and this line, which at the moment doesn't look too bad. And then yeah, I'm just going to go through and fix the whole lot the same. The other thing I've done here is I've used a good edge of the tile on the front, just because this is the part where your eyes are drawn to, and this, you want this to be good. This one I'll probably use double cuts and just sand them down, because you're not really going to see too much under here, but just for this finish here, it's just nice to have a factory edge on it, because I say it's all about what you see and what's visible and looks visually good when you come in. So that's just my reasoning behind that. Right. Use a big level as it's more accurate to just start getting them where they need to be. Still want to just try and keep that lip slightly above the trim there. Not too bad. Check our falls. And just finishing off by getting these joints all good here. Just pop a couple in there. Yeah, nice. And I'll show you that from the front on the camera. So yeah, that's all starting to look pretty good now, and it just all ties in. It's nice when you use the same tile going through the recess. I mean, you can do lots of things with it, but it's just kind of quite subtle then that the recess is there. It continues the full tile, which would be on top of that tile there. Goes in nicely. So all we've got next up there is the LED track, and it's going to be a little strip there. So I'm going to cut the LED track now exactly the same as I cut the trim, just mark from side to side. And then I can work out how big this cut needs to be just to finish the top off. And that's the recess done. Just got the couple of little cuts going down the bottom there. And that is that feature wall, all good. On second thoughts there guys, I'm not going to put this track in until these walls are done either side. I could put it in and then tile, but obviously these are going to come over it, and I just wanted to make it so it's free, so it can be serviced in the future if it ever needs to come out or you need to get to the wire easy. So I'm going to tile the left and right wall first before I finish the top up there, I think. So that's the best way to go with that. But I think you've probably got the gist anyway. If I get that done before this video goes out, then I'll put it in the end. But again, it would just be cutting the track, which is normally about 20mm, and then just cutting this tile to the track, put the track in, or put the tile in first, then put the track to it and just get it nice and flush. The wire obviously goes into the track. That's if you've got an LED strip anyway. And I've just finished off this bottom bit here, put the cuts in there. And you can see now with the tray, that's looking pretty cool. And obviously the reason why we do the floor first, then the wall, is just to create that waterproof barrier, as that can be a weak point down the bottom there. So obviously that's the same. These are same as the floor tiles actually, 60 by 60 porcelain. going on these walls, which I should be able to match the joints up because there is actually a recessed track going in here, so up this wall, so that should all marinate quite nicely so we keep the joints going up the wall. So yeah, I'm going to leave that wall now, and then I'm going to start thinking about doing this ceiling, and I'll probably tile this wall first on the opposite side, run my laser level so the line's all in the same place, draw a line across the ceiling, and then we should be all in line. But that's for a different part. I'll probably do a video on the ceiling, but say today's one was really just for this feature wall here with the niche, which I hope you agree is looking pretty cool.
Right, I'm back. I hope you've enjoyed that so far. That went pretty smoothly. A little fiddly getting that top trim in. In hindsight, I could have put the trim in first, but there was just a little bulge in the backboard blocking me, but no biggie to get it in there. So here I am marking the LED track, the same as I did with the trim, and cutting it to size. I give it a test and draw a line so I can mark the tiles to it, allowing a couple of millimeters of play. This is the stripper tile you can see here. So again, I'll just run them all off, then I'm just spreading the backs to fix them up. Then for the track, I just load it up generously with some adhesive, give it a good push into the gap. Then the trick is to take your grout float to pat it level. Once you've got it good, you can just add some wedges in the back to secure it in place while it sets. And that's it. All done. That's a pretty simple and effective feature wall. That was a nice one to tile too. The opposite of tiling the ceiling above me. I'll get a video out soon on that. I hope you picked up some good tips and tricks there, guys. Thanks to all my new and existing subscribers for supporting this channel. If you haven't subscribed and liked yet, then be my guest. It's free of charge. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.